this short link with a Bishop Paul Tighe, who is responsible for some content which we are interested in this afternoon. It's AI, artificial intelligence. So let's have let's receive a warm greeting from Madrid. Is the place where we are in now. Is the house of MRE, that is Mary's region of Europe. And that's an opportunity, that's an occasion for all of us to share what is interesting in this topic. And let's have it's a joy, it's a great thing to be here with Bishop Paul in order to share all this topic. Let's start with a short prayer today, this encounter. And let's get a sense of approach with Mary to this afternoon. We have the prayer of the Hail Mary o del Ave María. Cada uno lo podemos recibir, sentir. We have a feeling of being with Mary this afternoon. So this is our prayer today in the presence of God and Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you amongst women. Blessed the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and in the hour of our death. Amen. Okay, this is a short prayer today in order to start. Let's have a short introduction about Bishop Monsignor Tighe. He was born in Dublin in 1958. He grew up in Navan and Sligo. He graduated from University College Dublin in 1979 with a degree in civil law. After preparing for the priesthood at Holy Cross College in Dublin and the Pontifical Irish College in Rome, he was ordained a priest for the Archdiocese of Dublin in 1983. His first assignment was a parish chaplain and teacher in Ballyfermot. Subsequently, he studied moral theology at the Pontifical Gregorian University, and in 1990 he was appointed a lecturer in moral theology at the Mater Dei Institute of Education at Holy Cross College in Dublin. In 2000, he became the head of the theology department. In 2004, he was appointed director of the communications office of the Archdiocese of Dublin. The following year, he established the Office for Public Affairs to promote the diocese's engagement with public institutions and civil society. In November 2007, Pope Benedict XVI announced his appointment as Secretary of the Pontifical Council for Social Communications. On December the 19th, 2015, he was appointed by Pope Francis as the titular Bishop of Trivasto and additional Secretary of the Pontifical Council for Culture. On October 28th in the year 2017, Pope Francis appointed His Excellency Monsignor Paul Tighe as Secretary of the Pontifical Council for Culture. So this is a short bio about the person, the exceptional guest who is visiting us today, and who we are sharing some topic on this, the artificial intelligence. So let me address to you only two sentences about what Pope Francis told many people some months, some years ago in this last time, and was about this intelligence. So first one, artificial intelligence must be an instrument at the service of humanity and not an end in itself. And also another one, that is what we have collected along today, is urgent to establish a global ethical framework that regulates the development and use of artificial intelligence. So only those two sentences, introductory sentences, in order to share this time with Bishop Paul Tighe. Thank you for staying with us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. I'll try not to speak too quickly in English. I think you have translation services available, but I'll try not to speak too quickly. My focus, if you listen to my somewhat strange biography, I wandered into the area of artificial intelligence somewhat by coincidence rather than by design. When I worked in the area of communications in the Holy See, we began to work on issues of digitalization. And the thing that became very clear to us was that digitalization wasn't just a technology that was useful for communications. It was actually reorganizing how we form community, how we're educated, how we react among ourselves. So my interest became really on the cultural impact of digitalization, how it's transforming society, how it's transforming life for us as individuals and people in society. That led to people approaching us in the Vatican and saying, this is about 7, 8 years ago, came along and said, the next thing that's coming down the line is artificial intelligence. And this is going to emerge very quickly in the next 4 to 5 years. And it's going to have far more extensive impact than even digitalization has had. As I say, 6, 7 years ago, nobody was necessarily thinking a lot about artificial intelligence. Then about 2 years ago, the emergence of ChatGPT, etc., put the issue of artificial intelligence on the map in general. And since that time, the church has been trying to respond to the issue of artificial intelligence. It's been addressed somewhat piecemeal at different times. Pope has spoken about it in different occasions. It's featured on different messages for World Day of Communications, for the World Day of Peace. It's obviously something that has been coming up at the Pontifical Academy for Life. It's been the Pontifical Academy for the Sciences. And then, as you know, about 2 or 3 months ago, an effort was made in the Holy See to produce a more synthetic document offering orientations to the ecclesial community, and not just to the ecclesial community, to people in general, as to how to think about and reflect on AI, because AI, we can see, is going to have a major impact on society and on life of all of us. So how are we going to think about our presence in a world that it will be in very many ways transformed or changed by AI? And that's what the document which was produced in January begins to look at. And it looks at it from 2 perspectives. There are the obvious big presenting issues that everybody is aware of, the ethical issues around AI, its impact on work, a very clear one. How will the future of work be in a context where it is very likely that AI will replace and displace some existing jobs? How do we think about AI, which is increasingly being used in the context of warfare? How will it affect that? How will AI impact issues about public administration? At the United States at the moment, we're watching Elon Musk using AI systems to evaluate the work programs of whole government departments and deciding what will stay and what will not stay. So AI is becoming a real feature of our lives. And what we were trying to say is, let's think about it, yes, in terms of the ethical issues, but beginning really more importantly with the anthropological issues. What do we mean when we talk about human intelligence? What do we mean when we talk about artificial intelligence? What is it that distinguishes human intelligence? What aspects of human intelligence can be done maybe more quickly by a machine? Or what aspects of human intelligence really will remain within the realm of the human control? What I thought for our talk today, and because it's a very wide topic, I thought I'd begin by focusing just on one issue, which will broaden out into a wider issue. And that's one about, and I know the concerns of your, as an order, as the Marist order, you have, I think, a particular commitment to the field of education. So how do we think about education in the broadest sense in the context of a changing world. And one of the issues that is changing our world is AI. So what I'd like to begin to think about, and then we can open up to questions. I know that you've been working as an order in different teams looking at AI and its implication, but the one that I think is a more immediate, something we can grasp, are issues around education and AI, and then let them open up the broader and wider questions. So I'm talking about education and AI, but it's really to give an example that will open up different horizons. Can I just check if people are happy with that? If you put your hand up if you think that to start with education is a good starting point, just reassure me by putting your hands up if you can, if you think this is a good starting point. Okay, one hand anyway, I see. Okay, thank you. Good, thank you.
There is up. There is up. Excuse me. Your Spanish is very good. Your English is very natural. It's very natural, your English. In Livon is translating to French. She needs that you speak more slow.
Okay, no, perfect, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to begin with two quotations about the future of education, okay? First quotation is, the world is changing at an unprecedented pace, driven by technological advancements, globalization, environmental concerns, and social change. To navigate this dynamic landscape, education must evolve to equip individuals with the knowledge, skills, and mindset necessary to thrive in the 21st century. Educators play a pivotal role in shaping the future of education. And therefore, a number of tasks for educators. One is they must embrace technology, use digital tools to enhance teaching and learning experiences. Second one is foster critical thinking, encourage students to question, analyze, and evaluate information. Third, promote collaboration, create collaborative learning environments that foster teamwork and communication skills. Four, develop global citizens, instill intercultural understanding and respect for diversity. 5, promote sustainability. Environmental challenges require eco-conscious individuals. Education needs to instill sustainability principles and promote green practices. 6, we need to cultivate lifelong learners. We need to inspire a passion for learning and encourage continuous self-improvement. 7, by addressing these challenges and embracing emerging trends, education can empower individuals to become active, informed, and responsible citizens in a rapidly changing world. So that's a definition offered of the task for education in a world that's changing. Second definition I just want to share with you is one that is looking at Catholic education. It says Catholic education has a long and rich history, and it continues to play a significant role in shaping individuals and societies. In today's rapidly changing world, Catholic education offers unique contributions that are particularly valuable. It provides a holistic education that prepares students to succeed academically, socially, and spiritually. By emphasizing values, service, community, and intellectual rigor, Catholic education empowers students to become responsible, compassionate, and informed students who are ready to make a positive impact on the world. Okay, two definitions, one of education in a changing world, the second definition focusing on maybe the Catholic tradition of education. The truth of those definitions is that they were both generated by an AI system. In this case, it was a free version of Gemini, and I had to minimally edit those quotations. So they were produced in less than a minute, and they offer at a minimum a helpful starting point for reflection and development. So just feeding a question into an AI can offer very worthwhile insights and quotations immediately. If we are, so these are the outputs of a system. But if we're to reflect critically on those quotations, if we're to think about their value and worth from a critical perspective, we have to ask two questions. What data lies behind those quotations? Where is the information coming from? Okay, where is the data that is generating the AI answer to questions about education? The second question then is, what are the algorithms? What are the criteria that have been used to select from the data, to put it together, to analyze it, to interpret, and to decide what data makes it into the short answer? So the two issues we need to think about always when we're thinking about AI are data and algorithms. The data in this case, for the quotations I used, were large language models developed by Google. So Google essentially can suck up, can bring together a huge range of digital texts, images and recordings from across the internet, social media sources, and traditional media. And these collections then are used to train the AI system. So Google takes all the information it can have, then asks a question, and basically it can predict the answer by finding the words that are most associated with the question that has been asked. But the answer that the AI gives is only as good as the data that has already been put into the system. Similarly, when the questions are asked, the algorithms are the sets of rules and instructions that the AI system follows to analyze and interpret the data. So they're the two variables that we don't see. That's what's happening beneath the machine that produces the answer for us to our question. So in the examples I gave, the output is in the form of a text. I asked a question and I got a textual question, a textual answer. But AI systems can also generate images and videos using the raw material of the data sets. So I could have asked Google to present me images or pictures about education. I could have asked it for a video about education, and it could make that up for me based on the materials it has at its disposition. The other one that's becoming that is very interesting is that AI can process any information that can be digitalized, that can be reduced to zeros and ones, can be used to form a database and to inform decisions, answer questions, suggest ways of acting for questions that we want to pose. So already AI is being used not just for theoretical questions and answers, but also to actions in the world. This year, for example, the Nobel Prize for Chemistry was given not to two people who are not chemists, but two people who developed an AI program that was able to revolutionize the field of structural biology by significantly accelerating the process of protein structure determination. And this has wide-ranging implications for drug discovery, disease research, and material science. So somebody can use an AI system to achieve real mastery and competence in a field that they haven't necessarily studied. So as we say, the giving of the Nobel Prize for chemistry to two people who are not chemists, but who were able to use an AI system to do the work of chemists far more quickly, to analyze materials more quickly, to see the connections, and to come up with new applications. So what AI, once we have a body of education, of knowledge, once we have a body of data, AI can speedily process, can analyze that, can generate associations, can see applications that we might take far longer to see. I don't know if you may have noted recently, one of the leading British scientists has just finished a research project that took him 10 years to complete. And he said an AI system can now do the same work in 3 minutes because it has access to the information. The questions that I think that we want to ask all the time is, the data that's being used, is it reliable? Where's it coming from? Does it represent material that is dependable, because it's going to shape the answers of AI? And then the second one is the algorithms, the material that is used to give sense to the data. One very good definition of an algorithm is to say an algorithm is an opinion that is written as maths, but it's still somebody's opinion. It's still some ideas that are shaping what the people are thinking about. So what we want to do is to say is that the criteria we always need to look at thinking about AI is, what is the information that is there, and what are the questions that are being posed to it? What are the algorithms that are being used to sort it out, to create patterns, to bring those data together, to process this huge volume of information? And what I want to do is suggest is that, say, particularly in the educational field, because we can see already AI is being used and will have great uses in the area of education. It's going to change how we think about education. And before we think about the education thing, the key issue for the church at this moment is to say AI is in some ways in its infancy. AI is ultimately being controlled by a small number of very large commercial companies, multinational companies, who have the data, who have enough money to be able to create the data centers to hold that data, who have enough money to be able to process the data and run new models. And they are shaping the future of AI. What the church, together with many actors in civil society, is saying is we need to create a more general public responsibility for those who are working in AI, that they become accountable to our political systems, that they become accountable to the public good and to the common interest of all people. And this, as you know, is a major issue at this moment. With global efforts to regulate, the Pope is constantly saying we need to regulate AI, we need to have systems to control AI, but that is proving very difficult, because one thing is you have very large commercial companies who are bigger than many countries and can do what they like in these areas because they have the finances. In the past, most scientific developments happened either in universities or sponsored by governments. Now they're being developed by commercial companies who are in competition with each other. And that is not necessarily conducive to good ethical or regulatory oversight, because they want to be the first to develop something. They want to be the first with a product that will have commercial advantage for them. That is made difficult also by the fact that you have geopolitical, there is a competition in some sense between the United States and China as to which will be the first to move forward with AI to develop it commercially, to have it at its fastest and speediest in most applications. And Europe is a little behind, but Europe by and large is trying to say we need regulation, we need social oversight, we need political responsibility. The United States, to some extent, is saying, no, we just need to win the battle with China, we need to be the first. And that doesn't make for good consideration of the ethical implications. For the church's particular issue, and I've moved it, is the one of education. I'll just make 2 or 3 simple little points about education, and then we can move up to a conversation. In terms of education, you're probably aware there are already developed many very good AI tools to help with education. So when we think about education, we're saying that there are 3 things we need to think about. One is learning with AI. How will we use AI in the classroom, in the school system, to improve our teaching and to improve the experience of students? First question. Second one is, how will we in education learn about AI? How will we teach our students to think critically and to understand how AI works so that they remain, in some extent, not so much passive users, but people with intelligent questions and able to critically evaluate AI systems? And then the final question is, how will we live with AI? We're moving into a world that will be shaped by AI. So how do we think about the formation of students who will be living in a world that is very different to the world we live in today? The first part of that, as I say, is how will learning with AI? There are some extraordinary AI systems that can personalize education. As we know, we see it already with language. Many of us have signed up to language teaching methods that are AI driven, that can listen to our response and can learn how to teach us by taking account of how we are responding to the inputs. In the long term, there is a hope that AI will be able to help teachers to have at their hand, have as assistants, programs that will take account of the different learning patterns, the different speed of learning, the different intellectual levels of different students. That's one issue. It can also be, AI can be very useful in creating the content for classrooms, in creating more interactive, more vibrant, more interactive education materials that the teacher doesn't have to worry about. We're seeing it already. AI, another one, can help very much with grading, with evaluating the students' work, with doing the academic or the bureaucratic work that the teacher may have to do can be entrusted to an AI system. AI has extraordinary potential for the education of children with disadvantages, particularly with physical disadvantages. Can help students who have hearing difficulties, can help students who have visibility issues by creating materials that are developed for them. So AI could become a really good, useful assistant to the teacher. I think the emerging concern within church institutions is that AI does not replace the teacher, if that makes sense. That teaching is ultimately not a technological achievement, it's a human achievement. The teacher is not just somebody who hands on information, is not just somebody who gives technical skills, but who engages with the full student. I don't know, many of you have been teachers, but when I think of the best teachers in my life, it wasn't necessarily the greatest academics. There were people who took time, who encouraged me, who could find a way of engaging with me and with other people in a classroom. So one of the real concerns that we have about the future of AI is that for some of the companies developing AI and education, they see education as a new market, as a new area in which they can make money by being involved in the education process. Whereas our understanding of education is that true education should never be a commercial activity. It should be something that is trying to always respond, to give something, to enable students to grow, to develop, to achieve their dignity, to achieve their worth, not simply to impart instruction or knowledge. In other words, the danger as we move into a more mediated environment is that we lose the sense of education as a human enterprise, as an interhuman reality. We've seen that already with some of the experiences we have in during COVID, when a lot of education had to move into the privatized area of the student with the screen, without the environment of a classroom, without the environment of the social interaction that is so important for human development. So one of the issues I think that we want to say, yes, AI can be an extraordinarily good assistant or helper to the good teacher, can make his or her work more efficient, speed it up, and remove some of the more boring bits. But the reality is we need to keep that sense of keeping alive, particularly the sense of the teacher as the mediator, as the human being who makes the connection to the student. A second issue that is we're very concerned about is that, and this is emerging in parts of the world, in some parts of the world, we're seeing where governments are being tempted to spend more money on new software programs, on new AI educational systems, rather than on the training of teachers. Teachers are used initially to develop AI programs. Their inputs are categorized, are formed into data, and then the teacher is discarded. So one of the issues we need to be very careful about is the temptation for some countries, particularly in poorer countries, to see a technological fix to education, which will be at the cost of the human dimension of education. So we see this already. Some of the large companies are already working in Africa, trying to sell education systems to governments, rather than encouraging those governments to invest in physical training of teachers and in the resourcing of teachers. The second issue that I want to talk about is learning about AI. Is that one of the things that we need to be very careful about is that when we say we're learning about AI and education, a lot of the work that has been done on AI and education has been done by the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And it has an almost excessively economical view of education. It tries to measure the economic contribution of education by measuring how it generates people who are able to do different kind of economic activities that generate more wealth. And the danger there is a reduction of education to a purely economic value, not seeing the intrinsic value of education in terms of formation of students. Associated with that, to some extent, has been a problem where an emphasis on the need for STEM, for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which we can see the importance of that to ensure that people in the future are able to engage with the new technologies. So the education in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, and a lot of emphasis on needing to prioritize that. One reason why that may be prioritized is that the type of learning that happens in STEM is more easily measurable. It's more easily reduced to measurable quantities. Whereas the type of education that happens in the humanities, in learning languages, in learning social skills, in learning to interpret and to live with other people, are not as easily quantifiable. So the danger is a reduction of education to what is seen as economically profitable, what can be measured, and not paying enough to education as the formation of a person. And particularly the need we have, I think, one thing we're trying to say at the moment, we will need to teach people to be digitally literate, to be able to use digital platforms, to be able to use AI. But one thing we also need to teach them is to be able to be critically understand the digital platforms, to understand the limitations. I think that has become very associated already. We've seen it with many of the issues relating to digitalization, and the problems that have emerged because of the commercial models of the companies. The companies have discovered that the best way they can make money is by holding the attention of individuals. The more you hold the person's attention, the more you keep them on the platform, the more data you can take from them, and the more advertising you can send to them. And the way you keep people on your platform, they have also discovered, is by telling them things they agree with. And we have had a polarization in society, where people are being fed the materials and the inputs that keep them on the same platform, because by reassuring them that they are right and that other people are wrong. So the polarization that has happened with digitalization could become a much bigger problem with AI, which will have an even more sophisticated attention to the data that it is receiving. So one of the real problems we have is that AI, as an advanced digital tool, which should be able to promote engagement of people with a wide variety of opinions, will become focused simply on the issues that are commercially advantageous to people and that are holding their attention and that keep them happy, rather than challenge them to grow. Similar issues, as we know, are happening. One of the issues that is also a concern is that the data sets that are used for education are predominantly data sets, information that has been taken from Western world, where we have a long tradition of writing, where we have long digitalized our materials, and our knowledge and our understanding shapes the data sets. In other parts of the world where we have minority languages which have not been digitalized, or we have traditional ways of understanding and learning that have not been scientifically reproduced online, they get lost. So one of the huge things we want to do is to be able to, in education, is to teach future people to be able to critically think about how AI works, where the data is coming from, and whose opinions, whose biases are being used to shape that data. So I think the biggest contribution that as a Catholic institution we will have is, or Catholic institutions, is to keep alive those softer skills coming from the humanities about being able to reflect critically, about think critically and understand critically where we're going. The final issue that I'll just relate to that, and then we can open to questions, is one that we're saying is about we're going to have to live in a world that has been shaped by AI. That is going to radically redetermine how we think about our skills and our one risk at the moment, again, as I say, is that there's an understanding of education just to prepare people for the jobs of the future. That reductive understanding is problematic. What we will want to be able to do is to think about how do we form people for an uncertain future when we don't know what jobs will or will not be done by machines. Already we can see many lawyers are being replaced by AI programs. Many accountants are being replaced by AI programs because they can process information and data more quickly. But what we will have to do is form people who have the flexibility to be able to pose the bigger questions. And I just leave on 2 points. One is that in the document Antiqua and Rova, that's the document from the Doctrine of the Faith and ourselves about AI. One of the things we say, intelligence is also about asking the bigger questions. What is the purpose of life? What makes life worthwhile? What it gives value and worth to our lives as individuals and as a society? And AI cannot answer those questions. They are the bigger questions about the meaning and purpose and value of life. And they are shaped by our humanity. So in that document, we say part of human intelligence, it's not just a calculation, it's not just the ability to process information, it's not just the ability to spot patterns. Human intelligence is also related to the fact that we ask bigger questions. How should I use the information I have? How should I use intelligence to make our world a better place for more and more people? How do I ensure that we have patterns that make life healthier? Already we know with AI, one of the biggest concerns we have is that digitalization has already increased inequality in our world. We have seen a number of extraordinarily wealthy individuals achieving ever more prominence, and the inequality between that and the people who are losing work because of digitalization. With AI, that is likely to be exacerbated, the inequality. How do we ensure that a more equal distribution of wealth? How do we ensure that the wealth that some people would have does not give them almost domination of power and political processes, which I think we can see happening in our world already. So bigger questions about the capacity of human beings to ask the questions about where are we going? How do we create a more just society? What are the issues we need to use AI to address in order to have a better world for more and more people? And the final example I just gave as an example I want to give is for education. It's very interesting. Medicine, the medical world is one in which AI is already being used hugely. AI can have access to every X-ray ever made, to every medical examination that has ever been performed, as long as they have been digitalized. So when doctors are looking at a patient and looking at their symptoms, they can ask an AI to have access to a far wider range of materials so that they can make much more precise diagnostics about what's happening to a patient. They can use AI to be much more precise in the medical prescriptions, in the drugs, and in the therapies that they will use to address medical issues, because the AI can handle the bigger information, can process the realities, can come up with medical solutions directed for the individual, because it has all that relevant information. And what happened in doctors, one doctor said, this is wonderful. AI will allow medicine to recover to get back to its human origins. The machine, the AI, will deal with the information, with the diagnostics, with the prescriptions, with the drug therapies, with the analysis. And the doctor can be the one who facilitates, helps the patient to relate to the information, so that the doctor becomes, again, the human person who helps the patient interact with the information concerning his or her illness. And they said that will allow doctors to recover the human dimension of medicine. That was the first offer by one specialist. Two other specialists replied, and they said, that's being very naive. In a healthcare system that is controlled by economic factors, the doctor will now be expected to see more patients because he or she has the machinery that does some of the hard work. And they said that rather than giving me more time with my patient to be the human interaction, to listen to his or her fears, to become a good communicator, I will simply be expected to be more efficient because the machine is more efficient. He also said that the reason for that too is that the machine can measure physical things. AI can measure how long the doctor spent with the patient, how many patients the doctor saw in an hour, how much money the doctor managed to make with the patient in that time. What AI cannot measure, because it cannot be measured, is the quality of the interaction. Was the patient really listened to? Was his or her fears really being attended to? So the issue that becomes, I think, at AI that we need always to be very attentive to is AI can deal very well with information that we can measure, that we can digitalize, and that we can then process. AI does not help us much when it comes to the bigger questions about the meaning and purpose of human life, about the things that make life worthwhile, about questions, for example, the medical issue, about care and concern. Can't do that as well. Okay? I hope I wasn't speaking too quickly for the French or for the Spaniards. I'd be interested in learning about what you're doing in your working groups on AI, or what the specializations you have are, and to encourage you and to thank you for that work. But I'd be interested in learning a little about that and wondering if maybe you have questions or things you think we should be prioritizing in the light of your own experience. So I would be very pleased to any feedback you might have now.
Deep thanks to Bishop Paul Tighe because of your speech. That was so huge things we are talking about. But let's concentrate. We have some minutes still to go to the end. Would like to have some questions, opinions, or perhaps criteria, because I think what you are giving us are mainly criteria to face AI and education. So we are happy of hearing, of following some topics, some opinions on this. So I invite everyone to open the chat if you haven't opened it yet. That is on the top part of the screen. That is the first icon which says chat. It's very easy. You have on the top and then chat. And then we can write your questions on what is inside us about important topics about AI and education.
Just one thing, I will send you the text if you want. I will send it to you, and I will also send a link to a broader interview with American Magazine that captures many of these points. So at your leisure, nice. If you cannot speak, you can read or listen.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we can go with it. We can go. Well, let's speak later about some of these AI and MRE, but okay, that is another topic. We are concentrating now on the topic you have gone through. That is education and AI. So we have some interventions, some writings here on the chat.
I see there's a question, ¿qué tipo de formación ayudará al profesor que está en el aula? I think this is already a key issue. It's clearly one in the formation of future teachers who will be formed. And I would think, for me, the key thing is to help the teacher in the classroom to see AI as something that ideally will assist his or her work, but can never replace his or her own unique contribution as a teacher. That the teachers need to be very assertive as they are being asked to use AI systems, not to be afraid to point out the limitations, to explain, to keep alive. They are the true experts, not the technology companies. And just, it's up to teachers in a sense, I think, to defend the profession. A profession stands for something, and teachers stand for the integrity and the human dimension of the educational dynamism, of the educational process. So therefore, teachers should be open to, yes, this can help me, this can make my task easier, this can make my teaching method more available to a wider range of students. But at the same time, I have to be able to have the strength and the competence to point out that some of these things may, I feel, not do justice to the nature of teaching. So yes, we need to instruct teachers on how to use the technologies as they develop, but also give them the confidence to remember that they are the true expert. Already we've seen this in some situations where teachers are being asked to do exercises that are ultimately taking away from their proper classroom processes. So I think that's a mediation there. I think for school systems need to be already bringing teachers together and sharing ideas among themselves about what is working, what isn't working, where the advantages are and where the disadvantages are, so that they own the process. One thing that became very clear to us recently was a good quotation which says, either we will be architects of the future or victims of the future. So either you're going to engage with it and critically support it and help it and also evaluate it, or it's going to happen without, and you just will be expected to fit into it. So that's also the next question from Isaac, I see. In order to make a framework to use the AI, what is the most important thing that we never forget to include? That is, I think, our own competence and our own responsibility for the integrity of the educational process. That cannot be substituted. There's a quote from Pope Francis speaking about digitalization and communications, always made the point that good communications is a human achievement, not a technological achievement. Technology can help us to communicate, to reach more people, to translate, to use better stimuli. But at the end, it comes down to one human heart interacting with another. Education, similarly. The technology may enrich, may strengthen, but I don't think it can ever bypass the human dimension of education. I mean, I was a teacher for many years, and I think the most satisfying thing as a teacher is when you see the change in a student who is suddenly understanding something. And there's the magic that you know they will probably move well ahead of you in the future. But it's that human dimension that encourages, that supports, and that addresses the human. Very often the things that block a student's progress are things that are outside the classroom, that they need to talk about, that they need to deal with, and we need to humanize. So humanizing and keeping alive the humanity of the education process would be my priority.
Thank you so much. We were still to finish this chat. So please, if you have more questions, there is time to one more. I think we have 2 or 3 minutes more. So deeply thankful for this opportunity and solidify or following or deepening an education, ethic and civilian for the use of technologies by means of information and communication. I must go, a big hug. Do you think it will be possible to find a framework, as Isaac said, or a logarithm focused only in education?
I think that's already happening, and that they are trying to find frameworks. I think the biggest issue there will be there are very many different forms of education, and that to ensure that we have data sets that take account of how we learn, and this is the thing Pope Francis brought out recently. Learning is an intellectual activity, but we are bodily people. And often it's true what we do that there's a kind of a learning. It's not simply about an intellectual issue. It's about reassociations. And Pope Francis gave the example of learning with his grandmother to bake cakes. And as a child, his only job was with the spoon to press the side of the cake to make it a design around the outside. But he said that process was it was into an education that was not just intellectual, but about doing and about the hands as well as the heart and the mind. So Pope Francis says we need an education for the heart, education for the mind, but also for the hands. That is a truly inclusive understanding, and that many of those issues escape any algorithm.
Thank you. Okay, nice. So we are finishing the chat. Of course, thank you for your attention, everyone. And we would like to apologize for the translation from French to English, or from English to French, better said, from English to French, because there was some device which was not working, and some people here in France, so he or she found in trouble because of this. Never mind, we'll try this next time. We are hoping to have so good lecturer again, if it is possible, in your need, in your possibilities. Of course, we are ready. So we are doing this with MRE, so we are brothers and lay married people from all from Europe. So, okay, let's finish the connection by saying all of you, next visit, next topic will be addressed to your emails according to the things, so to the topics we are trying to prepare for everyone. Okay, so have a good day, have a good rest, and I will try to connect with Bishop Paul, and we have a photo, a picture for everyone. Perhaps some of you would not like to be photographed, so please switch off your cameras, but everyone please get your best smile, and we are ready, Isaac, for this nice photo.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, it's all right. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just mention that early on you said I grew up in Sligo in the west of Ireland, and the Morris had a very strong commitment to that town. Some sad issues, but some very, very powerful and good issues in terms of the education they offered as well. So I'm pleased to be with you, and congratulations on all your work. And I'll send you on the materials that for what they're worth afterwards. Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We would like that in the future we can in contact, because in Mary's region of Europe we have a team thinking about artificial intelligence.
Great. No, that would be very useful. What we're trying to do is to encourage everybody to begin, not to leave it to experts, but everybody to begin to take responsibility. Otherwise, as I say, we're going to be victims rather than architects. So thank you and well done on your initiative and reflecting on. Whenever I hear groups talking and taking it seriously, I'm pleased. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Next time, see you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bishop.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.